My wife secretly took a 14-day trip with her work husband. When she got home, I asked one question that stopped her cold. Do you even know what he's sick with? She rushed to the doctor, but by then, it was already too late. What's up, Reddit? So my wife came home after 2 weeks of what she claimed was medical recovery, moving around like an Olympic athlete. I'm not stupid. I know what a scam looks like when I see one. Before accusing her of anything, I asked her one simple question about her coworker, Adrien. Did she even know what illness he supposedly had? She went ghost white and bolted straight out the door. I'm 38, male. My wife, Marcela, is 37. We met back in 2013 at a company softball game. I was there supporting a buddy from work. She was playing for Sterling Capital's team. She hit a line drive that nearly took my head off while I was sitting in the bleachers. Felt bad enough to buy me a soda afterward to apologize. 8 months later, we were married. 10 years. That's what we built together. We started out in a cramped apartment in the suburbs and slowly worked our way up to a house with a 2-car garage and the marble kitchen she absolutely had to have. I worked insurance fraud claims while she climbed the corporate ladder at Sterling. We weren't perfect. She thought my job was too blue-collar. I thought her corporate world was fake as hell. But we made it work. I spent weekends fixing up the house. We took a trip to Hawaii for our 10-year anniversary. Talk about maybe getting a dog once things settled down. I worked on my old man Camaro in the garage. She worked late at the office. We were solid. Or so I thought. Saturday, November 8th, 9:17 a.m. and Marcela's Lexus pulled into the driveway with that expensive, smooth purr. I was underneath the Camaro changing the oil when I heard her heels clicking across the concrete. I didn't look up right away. I was watching a drop of synthetic oil slide down into the drain pan when something caught my eye and made me go completely still. A tan line on her left wrist. A clean rectangle where a watcher bracelet had been. Marcela never took off her Cartier. It was a wedding gift from her parents. She wore it every single day for 10 years. Hey, I'm home, she called out, her voice bright and chipper. Too chipper. 2 weeks of medical leave and the house is still standing, she joked. Color me shocked. Medical leave, right? She'd told me 3 weeks earlier that she needed an outpatient procedure to remove a benign cyst. Nothing serious. Then 2 weeks of recovery that just happened to overlap with her firm's annual corporate retreat in Charleston. She'd explained it carefully, pre-approved by her doctor, coordinated with HR. Nothing to worry about. I wiped my hands and stood up. How'd the procedure go? I asked. Fine. Easy. In and out, she said, already heading for the door, designer bag swinging on her shoulder. I'm exhausted, though. Going to shower and crash. Did the doctor give you any aftercare instructions? I asked. She stopped and turned. What? You know, post-op stuff. Pain meds, wound care, follow-up appointments. Oh, yeah, all standard. Nothing crazy, she said, waving her hand dismissively. I'll fill you in later. I really need that shower. And she was gone before I could ask which arm they'd operated on. Here's the thing about Marcela. When she's stressed or lying, she talks with her hands. Both hands. Big gestures. Full range of motion. For someone who supposedly had minor surgery 10 days earlier, she moved like a CrossFit instructor. I went inside and grabbed the tablet we kept on the kitchen counter, the one we used for shared stuff like grocery lists and calendars. Notifications were stacked up. One jumped out immediately. A text from CVS Pharmacy. Your prescription is ready for pickup. For Marcela. Weird. She hadn't mentioned any prescriptions. Hadn't said a word about pain meds. I checked the date. It was sent yesterday, while she was still on medical leave. I opened our shared email inbox, the one we use for bills and household stuff. I scrolled through 2 weeks of unopened mail until I found what I was looking for, buried between Costco ads and credit card offers. Insurance paperwork dated October 24th, the day before her supposed procedure. I opened it. No surgery, just a routine checkup. I sat there staring at the screen as something cold spread through my chest. Next, I checked our joint health savings account, the one we use for medical expenses and tax benefits. The last transaction was from 2 weeks ago. $847. $52 to the sanctuary at Charleston. I looked it up. 5-star boutique spa hotel. Couples massage packages. Private beach access. Romance suites. Not exactly where you recover from outpatient surgery. I kept scrolling. Uber rides in Charleston. High-end restaurants. A jewelry store called Meridian and Company that specialized in custom engraving. Every charge dated during her supposed recovery period. Every single one charged to our joint health account. The account meant strictly for legitimate medical expenses. The account that required documentation to prove purchases were health-related. The account with tax advantages. She'd charged a romantic vacation to our medical account. And she'd done it while cheating on me. I closed the laptop, sat alone in our kitchen, and felt something inside me click into place. I work in insurance fraud claims, and I knew exactly what I was looking at. Not going to lie, most days, my job is boring. Medical claims, fake injuries, people staging car accidents to squeeze out payouts. But if you do it long enough, you develop a nose for bullshit. You learn to spot when a story is too polished, when the details line up just a little too neatly. Marcela's medical leave was tripping every alarm bell I had. I called a divorce attorney first. What I'm hearing, he said, is potential infidelity combined with benefits fraud. Is that accurate? Yeah. Document everything you can legally access, he told me. Joint accounts, shared devices, anything with your name on it. Do not access a personal account, a work email, or anything that requires a password. That's potentially illegal and will hurt you in court. Got it. If she used pre-tax medical funds for non-medical expenses, that's IRS territory. File separately this year. And if you have evidence she defrauded the company's benefit system, employers take leave abuse very seriously. So I just collect everything I can legally access. Exactly. Talk to me again once you have a complete picture. And don't confront her yet. Don't make threats. Crystal clear. I hung up and spent the next 4 hours going through everything. Joint accounts, shared logins, every piece of paperwork with both our names on it. The picture came together fast. Marcela requested medical leave on October 21st. I found the approval email in our shared inbox. Her actual doctor's appointment was October 24th, a routine annual exam, according to the insurance paperwork. Nothing surgical. Nothing that would require 2 weeks of recovery. Then the Charleston charges started on October 25th. A ride share from the airport at 2:17 p.m. After that, it was a parade of nonsense. $847. $52 at the Sanctuary Spa Hotel. Nearly $1,000 at Hole's Chop House across 4 separate dinners. $285 at Meridian and Company Jewelers. Spa treatments. Expensive meals. More ride shares. All of it charged to our joint health account like she thought nobody would ever look. Over $3,200 total. The retreat itself ran from October 26 through November 6, according to Sterling's website. 12 days. Marcela had claimed 14 days of medical leave. She padded the timeline to squeeze out extra days with whoever she was with. I pulled up Sterling's LinkedIn page. They posted photos from the retreat. Marcela was front and center in half of them. Formal dress at the opening dinner. Business casual at some team building thing. Laughing at a beachfront reception. And in every single photo, standing right next to her, with his hand hovering somewhere near her lower back, was Adrien. Senior analyst. Divorced. Black Audi. The guy she'd been collaborating with on the Morrison account for 6 months. I zoomed in on one of the photos. Marcela's left wrist was clearly visible. A new bracelet, delicate gold. Definitely not her Cartier. October 27th, 2 days into the retreat. She charged $285 at Meridian and Company. I didn't even have to dig that hard for the rest. 6 months earlier, I'd met Adrien's ex-wife, Sabine, at a charity event Sterling sponsored. Marcela had dragged me along for appearances. Sabine and I ended up talking near the silent auction table while our spouses did their corporate networking routine. She wasn't dramatic about it, just tired. Mentioned almost offhand that Adrien had a health situation and that disclosure was always an issue with him. Didn't elaborate. She used the word disclosure like it was a legal filing and left it at that. At the time, I filed it away as not my problem. Watching my wife grin beside him on the beach during her recovery, It very much became my problem. I pulled up Sabine's number from my phone. We'd exchange contact info that night in case our spouses ever needed to coordinate schedules. I'd never used it until now. She answered on the third ring. Hello. Hey, Sabine. I've got a weird question for you. Okay. That health situation Adrien has, the one you mentioned at the charity event, is it something transmissible? Contagious? Long pause. I thought she'd hung up. Why are you asking me this? She finally said. Because I think my wife spent 2 weeks with him in Charleston, and I need to know if she's walking around with something she doesn't know about. Another pause. Then, quietly, it's not something you catch from a handshake. He's dodgy about disclosure and testing. Always has been. Makes it everyone else's problem instead of his own. So does she even know to ask? That's what you're testing. Yeah. She laughed, bitter, cold. You're smarter than I was. I ignored the red flag for years. Good luck with whatever you're doing. Thanks. I hung up and sat there with the phone still in my hand. I wasn't trying to diagnose anyone. I was testing whether my wife even asked. I downloaded every photo, saved every receipt, started building a 3-ring binder like it was a case file because it was Sunday morning. Marcela came downstairs while I was making coffee. Got a meeting with the Morrison account tomorrow, she asked without looking at me. Probably running late. Don't wait up. I poured myself coffee. How's Adrien doing these days? She froze for half a second, then went back to applying mascara like nothing happened. Fine, I guess. Why? Just curious. You two spend a lot of time on that account. Figured you'd know. We're professional colleagues, she said. I don't track his personal life, right? Professional. I took a sip of coffee. Hey, random question. I said, did your doctor mention anything about your recovery? Like things to avoid? Standard stuff. And that was all she said. No heavy lifting for a week. Keep the incision dry. Why? I asked. Where's the incision? She stopped. The mascara one froze halfway to her face. What? The incision from the cyst removal. I said. Where is it? On my arm. Why are you asking me this? Which arm? She sighed sharply. Geez, what is this? An interrogation. She capped the mascara and shoved it into her bag. My left arm. Upper left arm. It's small. Barely visible. Can we not do this right now? I have things to do. Sure, I said. One more thing, though. I set my coffee down and kept my voice casual. Do you know what illness Adrien has? I didn't actually know what Adrien had. I only knew his ex-wife had used the word disclosure like it was a legal filing. But I didn't need to know. I needed Marcela to realize she didn't know either. The color drained from her face. Completely. Instantly. Like someone pulled a plug. What? She said. I stayed calm, kept my voice level. Adrien, does he have any medical conditions you're aware of? Anything that might be, I don't know, contagious? Transmissible? What are you talking about? Simple question, Marcela. You spent 2 weeks in Charleston with your colleagues, including Adrien. I'm wondering if anyone mentioned him being sick, having any health issues, anything I should be worried about. Her hand went to her throat. Classic tell. She did that when she was panicking. Why would you? How do I? What? She stammered. She grabbed her bag, her phone, her keys, and moved toward the door like the house was on fire. I have to go. We'll talk later. Marcela. She stopped but didn't turn around. Before this gets bigger, I said quietly, tell me what happened in Charleston during your medical leave. Silence. Heavy, thick. I could hear the refrigerator humming. I could hear her breathing. I had a procedure, she said finally, her voice tight. It was legitimate medical leave. I don't know what you think happened, but you're wrong. Am I? Yes. She turned around, eyes hard, defensive, and I don't appreciate being accused of whatever this is. I've been a good wife to you for 10 years. A good partner. I don't deserve this paranoia. Show me the incision. What? Show me. Right now. The incision from your surgery should still be healing, right? There should be stitches, a bandage, something. Show me. She stared at me. I watched her calculate, weigh her options, decide how much lie she could get away with. I'm not doing this, she said. I'm not standing here letting you treat me like a criminal because you've worked yourself into some jealous spiral. I'm late. We'll talk tonight. There was no surgery, Marcela. She froze. I checked the insurance paperwork. I said, no surgery. Just your annual exam on October 24th. One day before you left for Charleston. Same day Adrien left. Same hotel. Same dates. Over $3,200 charged to our joint health account for spa treatments, restaurants, and jewelry. Want to explain how that's medically necessary? Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. No sound came out. Go to work or go to the hospital. I said, I don't care. We'll talk when you get home. Then I added, and Marcela, whatever you're about to do, calling Adrien, coordinating stories, deleting evidence, don't. It's already too late. She ran, literally ran to her car. The engine started. Tires squealed as she backed out of the driveway. I sat down with my coffee and watched the clock. She didn't run because I accused her of anything. She ran because she realized she'd exposed herself to something she never verified, and now she was doing the math on exposure windows. Later that morning, my insurance app pinged. New claim activity, urgent care visit. That was fast. I checked my phone. Nothing from Marcela, but I noticed something interesting in our shared messages. She'd texted Adrien 20 minutes after she left. I could see the preview notification on our sync tablet. We need to talk now. It's about your health situation. His response came 3 minutes later. One line. Handle it yourself. Don't drag me into this. That's when I knew exactly what kind of man my wife had thrown everything away for. The kind who disappears the second consequences show up. The kind who protects his reputation before checking if someone's okay. She gambled our marriage on a guy who couldn't even be bothered to answer a phone call when it mattered. Within a week, my insurance had started lighting up with more activity. Labs, blood work. The clinic was efficient. I'll give them that. They'd mapped out her entire calendar before she even left the building. Months of waiting. Months of wondering. Every single test. A coin flip she'd have to sit through alone. Because the man she'd done this with was already pretending he didn't know her. It took about an hour after the urgent care visit for me to make my next move. I pulled up the contact information for our health accounts benefits administrator and called the fraud reporting line. Benefits compliance, the woman said. How can I help you? I need to report fraudulent charges on an account holder, Marcela. Over $3,200 in non-medical expenses charged during a period of false medical leave. I'll need to gather some information, she said. Are you an authorized user on this account? Joint account holder. My name is on the card. All right. Can you describe the fraudulent charges? Luxury hotel, restaurants, a jewelry store, all charged between October 25th and November 6th. During that time, the account holder claimed she was recovering from surgery. There was no surgery, just a routine exam, according to the insurance paperwork. I have all the documentation. I heard keyboard clicking. I'm pulling up the account now, she said. Can you email the documentation to our fraud investigation department? Someone will review it and open a case file within a few business days. It's already compiled. I can send it immediately. Please do. Include the insurance statements, the account charges, and anything else demonstrating the expenses weren't medically necessary. We take misuse of these funds seriously. It's a violation of the account terms and can create tax issues. Understood, I said. Sending now. I spent the next 30 minutes uploading everything to their secure portal. Insurance statements, account charges, timelines, everything labeled and organized. The case was submitted by early afternoon. Then I drafted a complaint to Sterling's HR department. Leave fraud, false medical documentation, abuse of company benefits during a company event. I attached the same documentation showing she was healthy and active during the retreat while claiming medical recovery. I sent it through their secure HR portal shortly after. Then I waited. Monday morning, my phone rang. Sterling Capital's main line. The woman said, "Sir, this is HR. We've received your complaint and reviewed the attachments. We can't discuss personnel actions with anyone outside the company, but thank you for bringing this to our attention." Understood. I hung up. Around noon, Marcela came home. Her face was blotchy from crying, her eyes completely wrecked. She walked into the living room and just stood there, like she didn't know what to do with her hands. "They suspended me," she said flatly, "pending investigation into leave fraud and misuse of company resources." I didn't respond, just stood there with my coffee. "Adrien, too," she added. "We're both suspended effective immediately. They're auditing everything, every trip, every expense report, every leave request for the past 2 years." She looked at me, desperate. "How did they know? Did you call them?" "Yeah," I said. "I provided documentation when they asked." "That's not reporting. That's responding to an inquiry." "The clinic," she said, her voice shaking. "They said there was a window for time-sensitive meds. I missed it by almost 2 weeks." I nodded and took a sip of coffee. "They drew blood," she continued, handed me a stack of lab orders. Follow-up appointments scheduled months out. They can't tell me anything yet. Baseline tests, then waiting, then more tests, then more waiting. Her phone buzzed. She looked at it. Her face crumpled. "Portal update," she whispered. "They still can't tell anything yet. More testing required." She laughed. "Bitter, broken, wet. They can't give me answers. Can't rule anything in. Can't rule anything out. I just have to wait for months while they run test after test after test." Then quietly, "Adrien won't answer me. I've called him 12 times. Texted him 20. He read everything, then blocked me." Shocker. What's that supposed to mean? It means you picked a guy who goes when things get complicated. Real winner. Congratulations. Her phone buzzed again. She grabbed it desperately. "Not him," she said. "HR wants to meet tomorrow morning. 9 a.m. formal interview about the leave request and the account charges. They said I should bring legal representation. Probably smart. This is our marriage," she said. "Our life. Not some fraud case you can just close with receipts." "You made it a fraud case," I said. "On October 21st, when you filed false medical leave, when you charged our health account for spa treatments and jewelry, when you lied to your employer, your insurance company, and the federal government. You did that, not me. I made a mistake. You made multiple felony-level problems. That's not a mistake. That's a pattern." She collapsed onto the couch, head in her hands, shoulders shaking. Mascara ran down her face as she broke down completely. I stood there with my coffee, feeling absolutely nothing. "Before you meet with HR tomorrow," I said, "you should know something. I documented everything. Every charge. Every date. Every lie. The insurance paperwork showing no surgery. The retreat photos showing you healthy and active. The jewelry receipt. The account charges. All of it backed up in multiple locations and submitted to Sterling's benefits administrator." "Why?" she asked, looking up at me. "Why are you doing this? Why are you trying to destroy me?" "I'm not doing anything," I said. "You committed fraud. I stopped covering for you. The rest is consequences. Your consequences." Her phone lit up again. Not Adrien. Her attorney's office. She answered, spoke quietly, and hung up 2 minutes later. "My lawyer says I need to prepare for termination. That benefits fraud is a terminable offense under Sterling's ethics policy. Civil penalties from the account administrator. Possible audit risk if the IRS flags our tax filings." "Sounds about right." "You're just going to let them destroy me," she said. "You're going to sit there and watch our entire life fall apart and do nothing." "That's exactly what I'm going to do." She stood up, grabbed her keys, phone, and purse. "Where are you going?" "Out. Away from you. I can't be here right now. I can't sit in this house with you looking at me like I'm some criminal." "You are processing," I said. She stopped at the door but didn't turn around. "When you get back," I said, "pack your things. You're not staying here while the divorce is pending. Divorce is filed Friday." You'll be served this week." She turned and stared at me, completely shocked. "You filed for divorce before you even asked me what happened? Before you gave me a chance to explain?" "I know what happened," I said. "You committed fraud to spend 2 weeks with Adrien. That's enough. I can't believe you're doing this. I can't believe you thought you'd get away with it." She left without another word. The engine started. The tires squealed as she pulled away. I sat back down at the table with my binder and added another tab. November 10th, suspension notification and divorce service. I added everything from that day. Her suspension, her panic, her admission that she filed false medical leave because it was easier than telling the truth. Her attorney's warnings about termination and penalties, documentation, timeline, evidence, clinical, professional, devastating. By the time she came back 3 hours later, I'd already started boxing up her things. Tuesday, November 11th, the day of her HR meeting. I was under the Camaro adjusting the timing belt when my phone started blowing up. 7 missed calls from Marcela. Then a text came through. "They fired me. They fired Adrien. They are flagging the account distributions and issuing tax forms. This is your fault. Are you happy now?" I stared at the message. Thought about 10 years. About all the times I trusted her when she said she was working late. I typed back, "Congrats on your new hobby, waiting rooms." She called immediately. I declined. She called again. Declined. The 3rd time, I answered. "Please," she said. "I'll lose my professional license. The IRS investigation could take years. They could press charges if they think we falsified documents. You destroyed my entire life over one mistake." One mistake. I said, "You committed leave fraud, benefit fraud, and tax fraud. You planned it, executed it, charged it to our joint account. That's not one mistake. That's a pattern of criminal behavior." "I was trying to protect our marriage," she said. "I knew if I told you about the retreat, you'd be suspicious about Adrien." I laughed. "You protected our marriage by committing multiple felonies to spend 2 weeks in a luxury hotel with another man. Interesting definition of protection." "I love you," she said. "Adrien was a mistake, a moment of weakness. Then why did you keep choosing him?" I asked. "When I asked about his health situation, you didn't come to me. You ran straight to him. You texted him. You called him. You begged him to answer. That's not a moment of weakness. That's a series of deliberate choices." Silence. "What do you want me to do?" she asked finally, her voice small. "Nothing," I said. "You made your choices. Now you live with the consequences." "This is our marriage," she said. "Not some insurance fraud case you can close and move on from." "You're right," I said. "Marriage isn't supposed to be a case file. But you turned it into one the second you started calculating how to get away with fraud. You treated our entire life together like something to exploit." Friday, October 24th, I interrupted. "You told me the surgery was scheduled for the 25th. You looked me in the eye and lied. That wasn't something that just happened. That was premeditated deception." "I was scared of losing you," she said. "I needed time to figure out what I wanted, to decide if I wanted to stay in this marriage or what." I said, "Trade up? See if Adrien was a better option before you burned any bridges?" Silence, which was answer enough. "So you committed 3 kinds of fraud to buy yourself thinking time," I said, "to keep me as backup while you test drove another relationship. How'd that work out?" She was crying now. "Please," she said, "tell me what I can do to make this right." "You can't fix it," I said. "You didn't just cheat. You turned our marriage, your career, and our financial accounts into tools for deception. And you did it so thoroughly that when anyone looked, they found fraud at every level." "So you're just going to let them destroy me?" she asked. "Let the IRS investigate? Let Sterling ruin my career?" "They are not destroying you," I said. "They are holding you accountable for crimes you committed. You destroyed yourself. I'm just refusing to go down with you." She hung up. I stood there in my garage and felt absolutely nothing. No satisfaction. No anger. Just empty. The specific exhaustion that comes from realizing someone you trusted was never who you thought they were. Saturday morning, Marcela's representative called. "Sir," he said, "my client would like to discuss a settlement. She's willing to waive any claim to your pension or retirement accounts in exchange for you not pursuing civil damages related to the account fraud. She wants me to cover for the fraud she committed," I said, "so she can avoid paying restitution. Given the ongoing federal investigation and potential criminal charges," he said, "dragging this out helps no one. My client is already facing significant financial penalties. A civil suit would essentially bankrupt her. Tell her representative to communicate directly with my attorney," I said. "All communication goes through him from now on." "Sir, I think we're done." I hung up and called my attorney immediately. "They called you too?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "She wants me to eat the account fraud in exchange for not claiming my retirement accounts." "That's not a terrible deal," he said. "IRS penalties alone will financially destroy her. You might never see restitution even if you pursue it." "I don't care about the deal," I said. "I care about consequences that stick. If I waive the account fraud, she gets to tell everyone it was a misunderstanding, that I was vindictive. She gets to rewrite the narrative. I'm not giving her that." He sighed. "All right, it's your call. But this will make the divorce longer and more expensive." "Let her fight," I said. "I've got documentation for everything." That night, I drove to Sabine's apartment, Adrien's ex-wife. Sabine. We'd been meeting for coffee every few weeks since all this started, comparing notes, finding dark humor in our shared wreckage. Heard Sterling fired them both. I said, "Yeah," she replied. "IRS investigation, too." "Good." She poured 2 glasses of water. "Adrien called me yesterday," she said. "First time in 8 months. Wanted to know if I'd testify on his behalf. Tell HR and the IRS that this was all Marcela's idea, that she seduced him." "What did you say?" "That he should stop calling me before I add harassment to his list of problems." She raised her glass. "To men who think they are untouchable until the paperwork catches up with them." "And women who think fraud is romantic," I added. We clinked glasses. "You doing okay?" she asked. "No," I said, "but I will be." "Yeah, takes time, but you'll get there." We talked until midnight. When I left, I felt lighter somehow, like maybe there was a path forward that didn't involve drowning in bitterness. The IRS investigation took 8 months. Marcela and Adrien both ended up settling 5-figure penalties, plus back taxes, plus interest, plus administrative fees, over $40,000 each. Sterling's benefits administrator filed civil suits for full restitution of the account fraud. Both settled within 3 months. Another $15,000 each. The divorce took longer. Marcela fought everything. Every asset, every piece of furniture, every kitchen appliance. She dragged out month after month, hoping I'd get tired and give in. I didn't. Every few weeks, another notification would pop up on my insurance app. We were still on the same plan until the divorce finalized. Another claim processed. Another lab service billed. Another set of results saying nothing definitive. Week 2, follow-up visit claim processed. Week 6, another blood draw billed. Week 12, additional testing recommended. Results inconclusive. Month 4, continue monitoring. Follow-up required. Month 5, retest scheduled. See patient portal for details. Each notification was its own little psychological grenade. Not an answer. Another question. Another coin flip. Another reminder that she'd thrown everything away for a guy who blocked her number the second things got complicated. She did this to herself. For a man who responded to her panic with, "Handle it yourself," and then disappeared. Every time she walked into that clinic. Every time she rolled up her sleeve for another needle. Every time she refreshed that portal hoping for something definitive instead of inconclusive. That was a real consequence. Not the job loss. Not the money. Not even the divorce. The calendar. The waiting. The not knowing. Funny how a health savings account only feels medical when you actually need it for something medical. While she was doing that, I was doing paperwork. The binder got thicker. More tabs. More documentation. More attorney meetings. I treated the divorce exactly like a claims case. Organized. Methodical. Emotionless. August 2026, nearly 2 years after everything started. The judge signed the final decree. Clean split. The house went to me, since I'd been making the mortgage payment solo since November 2024. Marcela kept her retirement accounts. I kept mine. No alimony either direction. The judge noted that Marcela's financial situation was self-inflicted through criminal conduct and declined to award spousal support. She also got a criminal record. Misdemeanor fraud, pleaded down from felony charges after months of negotiation, 12 months of probation, 200 hours of community service, professional license suspended for a minimum of 3 years. Adrien got similar treatment, lost his job, lost his professional credentials. His divorce from Sabine was reopened when the IRS investigation uncovered hidden assets. He ended up paying an additional $60,000 to Sabine on top of everything else. Last I heard, he was working for a startup in Austin, entry-level role, making about a third of his old salary, living in a studio apartment. Marcela moved to Portland after the divorce finalized. Heard through the grapevine she was staying with her sister, trying to rebuild. Fresh start in a city where nobody knew her name or her case file. Me? I stayed at my job, got promoted to senior claims analyst about a year after the divorce finalized, got a raise, started training new investigators, kept working on the Camaro in my spare time. My peace didn't last forever. I was under the Camaro one afternoon when someone knocked on the garage door, the side entrance, the one only Marcela ever used. I didn't need to look to know who it was. I slid out, wiped my hands, and opened the door. She stood there in jeans and a t-shirt, hair pulled back, no makeup. She looked tired. "Hey," she said. "Marcela, can we talk?" I wiped my hands on a rag. I didn't invite her in. "The test results came back clean," she said. "Everything. No infections. Nothing. Doctors said it was all paranoia. False alarm. Congratulations. Want a trophy?" I asked. She flinched. "I came here because I realized I made a huge mistake," she said. "What I had with you was real. I want to fix this." "Fix what, exactly?" I asked. "The 10 years you threw away, or just your current housing situation?" "I'm serious," she said. "I know I messed up. I know what I did was wrong. But I'm here now. That has to count for something." I leaned against the doorframe. "You're here now because you literally have nowhere else to go," I said. "Let's not pretend this is some grand romantic gesture." Her eyes started watering. "That's not Faye." "Faye," I said. "You want to talk about Faye? That's rich." "I'm trying to apologize." "You're trying to move back in," I said. "There's a difference." "I don't have anything left," she said quietly. "Everything's gone. My job, my apartment, everything. I need help." "Yeah," I said. "I know." She looked up sharply. "What?" "I know," I repeated. "You don't have anything. Adrien blocked you. Sterling fired you. The IRS took everything. Your apartment lease is up. You're broke. I know all of it." She stared at me. "How?" she asked. "Sabine still talks to people at Sterling," I said. "Word travels fast when someone commits fraud. Everyone thinks it's hilarious. I've known for weeks." Her face went white. "You knew this whole time?" "Yep." "Which makes this little performance even more pathetic," I continued. "You really thought you could show up here and pretend this was about love? About realizing what we had? Come on." "You're here because you're desperate," I said, "and I'm the only person left who might be dumb enough to help." "That's not true." "It's completely true," I said. "If you had anywhere else to go, you'd be there right now. I'm not your first choice. I'm not even your second choice. I'm just the only choice you have left." "Stop it." "Stop what?" I asked, telling the truth. "You came here 1 week after finding out you're medically in the clear," I said. "If those test results had been different, you'd still be in Portland ignoring my existence." "You don't want me back," I said. "You want a safety net." She was crying now, voice shaking. "After 10 years, you're going to be this cruel? You're really going to watch me lose everything?" "You already lost everything," I said. I'm just not joining you in the wreckage. I need you. You need stability, I said. You need a house. You need someone to pay your bills while you figure out your next move. What you don't need is me specifically. That's not true. Sure it is, I said. If I was still in that studio apartment making 30 grand at the factory, you wouldn't be here. But I've got the house now, I continued. The promotion. The cars. Suddenly I'm worth a second chance. Funny timing. How can you say that? She shouted. I loved you, she said. Past tense. I replied, notice that. I still love you. No, I said. You love what I represent right now. A solution to your problems. I'm not a person to you. I'm a life raft. Please, she sobbed. Please. I don't know what else to do. I can't afford to live anywhere. I can't find work. I don't have anyone else. Please, just let me stay here until I get back on my feet. Not happening. Just a few weeks. No, I'm begging you. And I'm saying no. I said, you made your choices. You planned this for months. You committed fraud. You lied to everyone. You threw away 10 years for a guy who dumped you the second things got messy. Those are your consequences, I said. Not mine. She stepped forward and grabbed my arm. You can't just leave me with nothing. I pulled my arm back. I didn't leave you with nothing, I said. You did that yourself. I made one mistake. You made 100 mistakes, I said. Every day. For months. Every lie. Every night you spent with Adrien while I thought we were building a life together. Those weren't mistakes, I said. They were choices. I'm different now. You're broke now, I said. That's not the same thing. She was screaming at this point. Full meltdown. What do you want from me? She yelled. I said I'm sorry. I admitted I was wrong. What else can I possibly do? Nothing, I said. There's nothing you can do. I don't want anything from you. I don't want your apologies. I don't want your explanations. I don't want you here. You're just going to let me be homeless. You're not my responsibility anymore, I said. You ended that when you committed tax fraud on our joint accounts. I have nowhere to go. Figure it out, I said. You're resourceful. You managed to plan an entire fair and fraud scheme while working full-time. I'm sure you can manage a Craigslist roommate search. I hate you. Good, I said. Now we're on the same page. She was shaking, makeup streaking down her face. You're the worst person I've ever met. And yet here you are, I said, begging me to take you back. Really makes you think. I hope you end up alone. I'd rather be alone, I said, than be your backup plan. I stepped back inside and started closing the door. She lunged forward. Wait, please. I didn't mean that. Yeah, I said. You did? And honestly, I added, I hope I do end up alone. That's better than being with someone who only remembers I exist when she runs out of options. I closed the door, locked it. She pounded on it for about 30 seconds before she finally left. I went back to the Camaro, turned up the music, and kept working. Life's a lot more peaceful when you stop letting people treat you like their emergency contact.